All right, hello everyone. So this is 3D design. I'm going to go over the syllabus. I'm Christy Harrington. I'm going to be your professor for this course. You can read through here and find out the main topics of study, but we're dealing with the X, Y, and Z axis, 3 dimensions in the real world. So we're going to be creating sculptures in space or bas-relief sculptures. So 2-dimensional design would again be working with the picture plane, like as in a painting or something like that. My office hours are listed here. They're going to be Monday and Tuesdays from 8:45 to 11:15 via Zoom. So definitely email me if you'd like a Zoom meeting with me, or I should, typically, like this morning, I posted it in Blackboard, and I was there waiting. Nobody came, but I had my cool Hogwarts background. I was sad, but it's okay. I got a lot of work done. So then this is the tentative syllabus, and some things may change due to weather because we'll be working outside a bit, but you can read through these different weeks and kind of get an idea of what we're doing each different week, which is kind of fun. What I hope for you to learn, please read through that. The required textbooks. So I had a little bit of an issue with the bookstore. I had purchased, I think, 4 books for our class, and they listed them as all required, which would be very expensive. So I had requested that 2 be optional and 2 be required. And so these books here are the required books: Sculpting Technique Bible by Claire Waite, and the Sculpture by Cleo Kuntz. And both of these books, this first book that's highlighted is an ebook. So if you have a Nook or an iPad with the app, or a Mac computer, you can download the Nook app. If you don't have a Nook or a Fire tablet that's a Barnes & Noble compatible, and then you can get a digital copy of this book, and it's only $10. This book's a little more and has to be shipped. I'm waiting for my copy. It's out of stock currently, of course. And then these books are optional. So these books are good books that I recommend for the work we'll be doing, but you're not required to buy them. And this book is about Andy Goldsworthy. He is the one who does the outdoor sculptures, and some of you may have seen his work or done a project in a previous class with his work. He's a tremendous outdoor sculptor. He sculpts with environmental, like ice and leaves, and so you might know him. He has a documentary called Rivers and Tides. So you may have seen it and not even realize that that's the artist I'm talking about, but once you see his work, you'll be like, oh, I know him. So we're gonna do those kind of projects. So that book's about him. Then the sculptural idea, that is like a textbook that's concepts and theory about sculpture, and that is optional. So I will refer to that book and read it sometimes, but I don't necessarily need you to buy that book. It's just, if you really are passionate and interested in sculpture, that's gonna be a great book to have, okay? But you're not required to buy it. So despite what the bookstore says. So the bookstore has an FA 108 kit, and that is $76.48. And that's gonna get you set up with the basic things you need, like X-Acto knife and various other things that you really need. So this is a list of what's in this kit for $76. So you either buy the kit from the bookstore with your 2 textbooks, right? Or you can look down this list that has these numbers next to it, and this list is what's in that kit if you want to buy them separately, okay? The second set of materials is something that you will order from Amazon or online. You'll need wood or plastic sculpture tools. And I will show you some of those things. So I'm going to we've got someone in the waiting room, I'll let them in. Welcome. And you'll need water-based clay from Laguna. It's called WED clay, W-E-D. It's a Walt Disney clay, okay? 25 pound and it's $28. And that's what's used in the industry for sculpting. So you'll have to order that on Amazon. That's not available in the bookstore. Silicone rubber, 3 tubes of the Liquid Nails brand clear silicone, or you could get amazing mold rubber. That's between $9 and $25. Perfect mold alginate, $14. Plaster, 25-pound bag, $15. A bucket, large or small, hopefully you have them at home. It could just be a yogurt pint and any bucket. A small box. The small box is to put your platonic solids in. If you make them from paper, it'll be a shoe box, so hopefully that'll be free for you. If you decide to purchase the jumbo platonic solid dice, which are awesome, instead of making your own, those will be smaller, so you'll need a smaller box. Wood, you need some plywood that's cut into 1 foot by 1 foot or 12 by 12 pieces. That's what we make our sculptures on. And then you need 2 smaller pieces that are 6 by 6, okay? So on Amazon I looked, and if you search Baltic birch 18 millimeter or 3/4 12 by 30, that I believe was $26. And if you cut that into a 12 by 12, a 12 by 12, you'll have a strip left over. If you cut that in half, you'll have 2 12s, a 6 and a 6. Does that make sense? So if you have a way to cut the wood, you can buy that piece, okay, hopefully. Or if you go to Home Depot, they'll cut it for you, or Lowe's, and you can buy it there. And you can buy tiny pieces of plywood. You don't have to buy an 8-foot piece of plywood to get these pieces out. You can buy a small section of plywood. 3/4 inches or 18 millimeters is the thickness, okay? So you don't want plywood that's thin like your finger. You want it to be almost 2 fingers thick, or about 1 inch or 3/4 thick, not like a pinky thick. That's about 1/4 inch. That's too small. You'll need a hot glue gun and hot glue sticks. You may have glue sticks in your kit, so you may want to wait to purchase the glue sticks, but I don't really have a way of figuring out what size the glue sticks are. I guess they say 10-inch sticks. So I don't know if they're the thin or thick glue sticks, so I don't know what glue gun to tell you to buy. So maybe get the kit first, look at the glue sticks in the kit, then buy an appropriate glue gun that would fit that kit, glue gun. Does that make sense? That would fit the glue stick, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm getting tongue-tied now. Cardboard. We're gonna make sculptures out of cardboard. Cardboard is free. I'm sure you guys are getting Amazon deliveries or some kind of deliveries these days. Hopefully you have some cardboard boxes laying around, or at least save them in the next coming weeks, because we'll be doing a cardboard assignment. Cardboard is great material to work with because it's very inexpensive. It just costs us the glue and the glue gun to glue it together, and maybe some paint to paint it up and make it look good. Excuse me. Then a roll of masking tape. We're gonna use masking tape, and we're gonna make some masking tape sculptures. So we're actually gonna build little creatures out of the tape over wire skeletons and draw on them. So you'll need like a whole roll of tape, you know, and depending on what you decide to make, you might need to buy a couple rolls, because you'll use a lot of tape to build up the form. But that's another cheap sculpture that we're gonna do. So even though we do have some expensive materials to buy, like the clay tools, like the kit, because the kit's $75, you know, the clay is $28, the rubber is $9 to $25 depending on what you get. So it does add up, and I understand that, and I'm really sorry. Normally I have you in my sculpture studio at MV, and I have a lot of these materials that I provide for you. So I've really had to change my class this year in order to try to combine the minimal things that you should buy for us to do the most projects, and then think of inexpensive projects. So another inexpensive project, other than the cardboard and the tape sculpture I thought of, is a soap carving. So you just need a bar of soap for that. So, you know, even though there are some things that cost a bit of money, hopefully they'll be used in multiple projects in the class is my plan. And then some smaller projects will be made out of simple things like a box of toothpicks or matches. So I don't know if you guys seen online, but there's these little toothpick or match sculptures. So they're just using the little sticks and gluing them together. They can be very fun. So that's, you know, some of the required materials. These are the optional materials. So my idea is if you were to buy everything, it would be $247, which is very expensive. I do understand that, and I apologize, but you don't have to buy everything. You need to complete 6 projects for the class. So you'll pick which materials you want to buy to complete those 6 projects. A certain amount of projects we will have to buy and have to do, but yes. So you don't have to spend all this money, just some of, pick what you'd like out of these things, and we can talk about that individually too. Okay. So, hello. So let's see here.
Hello.
Don't worry if you're coming
Hi.
in and out. Sorry, it's okay to have connection issues. Boss, I will talk to you maybe tomorrow at 1 if we can, because I have a 3D class that I'm talking to. Would that work better for you? I'll email you, but you can listen in today. Okay, so these are some of the optional materials. A 3D printed printing pen. They're really inexpensive now, and that would be fun. The Amico measuring tools for enlargement. All these things can be entered into Amazon and searched. So have a look at these materials. These are the additional ones. With the grading, I have 6 projects that you must complete by the end of the semester for 600 points. But during the week, we will meet every Tuesday at 2:30, and I will do a lecture like this that will be recorded and then will be posted so you can watch it if you happen to be absent. But those days is participation and work ethic. So you'll get for the week, be sure to join class every week. And proof of material, oops, I'm running out of time, sorry. Proof of materials, quizzes, at midterm, around Halloween, we're gonna critique 3 projects. And at the final, we'll critique 3 projects, and we'll create a digital portfolio. That'll be when we have all our images sent in a portfolio format. So I will try to subtitle all these lectures that I post after the class time. Just read through the rest, and there is a disclaimer. I may change things around depending on the group or where we're at, so please be flexible. The only other thing I wanted to show you briefly is Bookstore. So when you log in, you put my course in, you see all this. See how they say required, 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 required. That is incorrect, right? Sculptural idea, recommended. Sculptural Techniques Bible, required. Goldsworthy, recommended. Sculpture, required, okay? You also must purchase this kit here. If you go under art supplies and look at the kit, that kit is $150. So you don't want that kit. They mixed up the price. So this is the kit you want to buy. So go in my class and click on these, whatever you want to buy, and that's going to get you those, right? That's the kit. Now, it says temporarily out of stock. I talked to her today. They are not out of stock. For some reason, they haven't updated this. So they're in there. So hopefully in 24 hours, that will be put through. So the bookstore is a little behind as far as that goes. I just have a PowerPoint that I want to show you, and that will be available in Blackboard. So we might, it says I have 8 minutes left because I have the free version of Zoom. So let's see if they pick me off. So if they do, bye everyone. But if they don't, I'll just keep talking. And then I'll go through that get to know you exercise on Padlet, which if you are, okay, boss can't hear. Okay, can you hear me now? Or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So this is the link and password for the get to know you exercise. Whoops. If you can follow that and fill that out for me while I'm talking, if you haven't already. And then we'll review that next class and get to know each other better. But I'll just continue talking until they kick me off, all right? I'm so happy to see you guys. It's gonna be a fun class. Sorry about the confusion. Welcome, we're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna get our hands dirty and work with clay. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah, my book's on back order too. I got a question about that. So we'll just have to wait till they come in. We'll begin to work and I'll begin to lecture. It'll just be the readings and looking at the images that'll be delayed. We'll just have to wait till those back ordered books arrive. I understand that it's challenging, but great question because I'm sure everybody's wondering about that themselves. So relief sculpture is a bridge between 2D and 3D. So this is one of my sculptures. I'm an artist too. So my website is christyharrington.com. So you can check out my work there. Okay, so if you have time and you want to, this is my dog Rocco. He's since passed away many years ago, but here he is pulling a sandwich off of one of, looks like a person buried in a rug here and digging a ditch, right? So this is an example of a bas-relief. I have kind of morbid sculptures, I apologize. But reliefs are sculpted on a clay plinth or a background of clay, and they start to pop out in space. And they're the greatest transition from drawing into sculpture, and that's the first project we'll start with. We'll use the additive process of clay, and we'll build the shapes up. There's 3 different types of relief, a low, a middle, and a high. This is an example of a high relief because his arm, I could reach around it. So that's a very high relief. A low relief would be everything just very smoothly on the surface, hardly anything coming forward. So here's a side view of a relief, so you can see the depth and the distortion. Like here it looks like you can see real space, but if you look at it from the side, everything's kind of mushed weird. So it's a combination of perspective, the illusion of perspective, and actual 3-dimensional sculptures, which is cool. So here's a sketch of a relief. So a lot of artists, they do maquettes, and those maquettes then are refined and turned into. So you can look through these more in detail. But here's some examples of those. The Egyptians and Greeks and Romans all used this sculptural technique, and they're very popular in churches and tombs. And in churches, you'll see them with illustrations from the Bible. So you may be more familiar with sculpture than you realize in bas-reliefs. So here's from a church. Here's like a Christ figure. Here's some angel figures. And in a very low relief, like in the background here, this is just a light drawing, almost nothing there. So they're kind of neat that way. They were used as funeral tombstones, and in ancient Greek, that's called a funeral stele. There were reliefs as far back as Assyrian. Now, these reliefs, the Greek, the Egyptian, the Assyrian, they are carved, so they're chiseled out. Form is taken away in the subtractive method of sculpture. The other reliefs here, these are additive. They add clay on and they make a mold and cast it in bronze or create another sculpture from it or fire the clay, okay? You can see a lot of these large reliefs at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They're really beautiful. They were used to decorate, before we had caskets, we had sarcophagus, and they were used to decorate the sarcophagus. They were used as votives to be put at temples. And again, I'll share this PowerPoint with you so you can read through it. Perspective, so see this rectangle shape and how it appears to recede in space? That's how we're going to use the bas-relief space. And we are going to make a sculpture using the platonic solids with the bas-relief. I will continue the end of this lecture next class because I would like to show you some examples of the bas-relief we're going to be making, so you know what to use, what to buy first. So, and I will also put this in an email. So first, I want you to purchase, I had all the materials. So these are the pliers you want to get, snub nose pliers. This is what epoxy looks like. But I will show you those some more next time. But this is our platonic solid shapes in a box. So we're going to create these paper shapes out of templates that you'll print, and we're going to arrange them in a box, and we're going to use that box as a template to create a sculpture. And I'm going to end my screen share here so that I can show you the sculpture we're going to make. So the first thing you want to get is your clay. So this is the bas-relief sculpture in clay that we will create. That's one of our first projects, as long as we can order some materials. And then here's the box. Okay. So we're trying to copy that. So you can either make the shapes or you can buy the jumbo platonic dice, or you may have like the D20, D12 dice already. So I'm going to, so that's a brief overview. I know it was kind of rushed. I had the two classes at one time, so I was a little bit split in my attention. But